Welcome to Married to History, where we try to be informative, entertaining, and family-friendly.
Aloha, I'm Christopher. I have a fancy piece of paper on my wall that says that I know more about history than most people do, and that includes my brother.
I'm Shirley. I'm a homeschool mom that relies on good curriculum, Christopher, and West Side Story to teach our kids history.
West Side Story is an excellent way of teaching history to people. I totally concur.
I'm so glad you agree this time.
Alright, so let's...
Hold up. I have a history question for you.
Normally we say things, but I guess I won't say things. Okay. I love history questions.
You don't get to take over the show.
I thought you wanted me to answer your questions from a previous episode. I thought that's what was going to happen. Ooh, I see. We're living up to that thing that you don't tell me. I don't know what we're talking about.
You don't know
here.
what our
So
topic
you
is
totally
today.
surprised me. All right.
You may think you know our topic.
I'm okay. For those of you who can't see, I'm doing that pointing at my eyes, pointing at her eyes thing.
All right, honey. My history question is, you were telling me in the episode before last about Haitians from the region of Hesse, I believe, in Germany.
You mean
helping
Hessians from the region of Hesse?
Yeah, I said that. Haitians.
Hessians.
They came over and they helped.
Hessians.
They got on a boat.
H-E-S-S, not H-A-I-T.
It's the same thing.
It's
Haitians.
not the
They
same thing!
They got on a boat and they helped in the Revolutionary War. So you were going to give us more details about that.
Which one? Do you want more information about the Haitians or the Hessians? Yeah, good luck answering that one, honey.
All right, so we already talked about the Hessians, and I did give you homework about the Haitians. You had a couple articles that you were going to read.
You said it correctly.
Yes. Okay, so tell me about why Haiti was involved with the American Revolution.
All right, so I enjoyed looking this up very much. I think I enjoy looking up almost everything that I look at in history. Mm-hmm. So I enjoyed this very much because I found myself being guilty of what I'm sure is what many people guilty are in
arrogance?
This regard. Okay, sure.
You didn't already know about it, so it must not be true?
No, it wasn't that concept. No, but the idea that, all right, so you know that France helped the Americans during the American Revolution.
Yes.
Yep? So I'm willing to bet that, like I caught myself doing, that most of us, when we think about that, we're thinking of the French regular army, French regular troops. But it makes
from France.
But it makes absolute sense that significant, if not even most, of the troops, the military assets that France would have sent to us, would have been the assets that it already had on this side of the world.
There were French in
troops
Haiti.
And ships and whatnot that were stationed in France's colonies on this side of the world.
Got it.
So I'm not saying that this means that, none of the troops that came over were actually from France or French regulars or anything. I'm not saying that. But no, it makes perfect sense that some of the military units, at least, that France is going to contribute would have been from the colonies or raised from the colonies.
Right.
And so this would include at least this one group of particular soldiers who came from Haiti.
But they were French, not Haitian.
Okay, so that's a technicality that we'll get to.
Sorry, go ahead.
Right. So first off, I want to clear. I had to dig for this more than I recall digging for almost any project that I have ever done. Well, because here was the thing. So I found lots of information, but I noticed, as is often the case when finding sources in history is a whole new game. I noticed as I was finding little bits of information here and even like big articles that they're repeating a lot of like the exact wording. So it's not just that they're telling the same story, even the wording is the same. And sure enough, this happens an awful lot.
Yeah.
One website was actually just cutting and pasting the quotes from another website, and then that one's doing it from another one. So
they're copying each other's homework.
So you got 3 different websites that are all saying the same thing, but none of them are citing any sources other than each other.
Yeah.
So that's like 3 people. That's like asking 3 people that have never been to Disneyland what Disneyland is like, and they all agree with each other about what Disneyland is like.
Right. But none of them have actually been there.
But none of them have actually been there, so they're not credible, even though you found 3 people that all agree that Disneyland is this cool thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had to really, 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 really dig to try to confirm this thing.
Okay.
And here's the answer. I couldn't.
Oh.
I cannot confirm, at least by my level of scrutiny, I cannot confirm that this really happened. I believe it did. I believe it's real. Everything about it is realistic to me.
Okay.
But I can't confirm that it actually happened because of ultimately two things.
Okay.
In my search for sources, I couldn't find any. The closest things that I found to actual legitimate sources for this were a Haitian historian whose name I've forgotten since I'm looking him up.
Okay.
But he died in 92. And the only thing that I could find about him was that supposedly one of the quotes that all three of these and more other sources I found were saying all quoted him as saying that, yes, this happened.
Okay.
But again, that he died he didn't die in 92, sorry. I believe he died sometime in the late 90s. The quote, I believe, is attributed to something he said back in 92. So that's a pretty old quote, and he's dead. Now, he wrote
what was his source?
He wrote an awful lot of history, but he was a historian, so technically he could be his own source. But
he needs primary documents.
Yes. So he wrote, if I remember correctly, he's credited for writing at least 19 different books on Haitian history. Whoa. He's considered an expert in Haitian's history.
Yeah.
But I couldn't get a hold of any of those books. And the only one whose title that I don't speak French, but I know enough to recognize some words.
Yeah. So
the only one of the titles that I saw that looked like it might have anything to do with the American Revolution actually was talking about Haiti's revolution and the United States' interference in Haiti's revolution.
Oh, instead of them helping in ours.
Yep. And to be fair, the United States was involved in at least 3 civil conflicts / revolutions in Haiti.
Oh,
but
dang.
different subject there. So the only other source I could find, and this was the one that took me the longest time to find, was that the French commander of this unit, not just this unit, but a whole French army squadron he had.
Okay.
He supposedly wrote everything down in a journal, like not just like he went to bed one night and said this is what we did before the day. No, he kept a journal of the battle and what happened and what they were doing.
Okay.
So that seems like an excellent source.
Yeah.
So I was able to confirm that journal exists, but I couldn't find a copy of it, and even if I did, it's more than likely in French.
You couldn't find a PDF of like an English translation of it?
I found one thing that said it was a PDF source, but it wouldn't actually load up on the computer. If I paid them, then I probably could have found it.
Of course.
But yeah, I didn't see anything about an English translation. Even the site that like I said, I scoured looking for this thing.
Yeah.
The site that I finally did find that claimed to be this thing, it was very obvious that if it was on there, it's going to be in French.
Oh, man. So we need someone who knows French to get it and translate it for us.
Yes, someone we can trust.
Or we could just trust those articles that somebody read
like
and that's where they got their info.
Even though I can't confirm it, I'm willing to believe that happened because everything about the details that I read makes sense.
Okay.
So I am not going to be one of those people that's going to march down to that monument they have in Savannah and say, tear this thing down, it's a lie.
Right.
I just can't say that I just wouldn't put my hand on a good book and swear in court that, oh yeah, that happened.
Yeah, right.
And so this type of thing would still be the thing where I'm going to teach this story to my students.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to tell them this really happened. This is a story out of the American Revolution, and I think it's a cool one.
Okay.
I just can't be sure that it's a real one, like many other stories we have.
Right, and until you do have confirmation.
So I've been talking about how cool this was, so let's get down to some
Okay,
cool
so yeah,
parts.
what happened?
All right, so the French are agreed to help the Americans in the American Revolution. Washington, round about 89, the war in the North reaches a stalemate, and so the British decide to change up their tactics. They decide, all right, we're going to go down in the South. The Loyalist population is stronger in the South, which is true. Okay. So they figured that, all right, we can get down in the South, we can start knocking the rebels out there, work our way north, and then eventually we'll be able to pin Washington between advancing soldiers from the southern colonies and the large army that we already have in the North. So that is their ultimate plan to crush the revolution at the end of the war, or rather the latter half of the war.
Okay.
So this begins with Georgia, southernmost colony. The British are able to fairly easily take the city of Savannah, which is the biggest, or my knowledge, it's the biggest port city in Georgia. Georgia is very, very sparsely populated.
I have no idea.
So they're able to take the city of Savannah pretty easily. The Americans are going to try to take it back on a couple of occasions, but they just don't have the military power. So finally, Washington contacts the French representatives and says, I need you guys to support an effort in the South to recapture Savannah.
Wait, up to this point, have the French been supporting the Americans?
Somewhat. I am not familiar with all the details of the level of support that France gave to the Americans at various points of time.
Okay.
But at least at this point, they were talking, and it was known that, yes, the French are going to support.
They were willing, but and now Washington's saying, we want you here.
Yeah. So the orders that eventually get handed down are handed down to this admiral who, if you had asked me 2 or 3 days ago, I would have remembered his name. I want to say it was String or SD, something like I believe it started with an E.
Okay.
But anyway, so he has command of several ships and several land military units as well. So among them is, and I can't say their title either because it's French and I don't know how to pronounce it, but among them is the group of these Haitians that this story is about.
Okay.
So these, according to most of the sources that I read, these men are mixed race men.
Okay.
They are the descendants of slaves / natives / French men.
Got it.
And because they are part French, they have a higher standing in society than the slaves or even the free men. But because they are not 100% French,
European.
They are still considered a lower caste, if you will, in French society. Which means that they don't have much opportunities for most of French society, but military service is something that gives them an opportunity for a little bit of distinction in pay.
Yeah, and would they be able to like prove themselves in military service and then have a better life afterwards?
That is entirely possible, yes.
Okay.
Probably not in France proper, but often enough people like this, yes, would be able to have a decent life or a better than decent life if they stayed in the colonies, if they stayed on this side of the world.
Okay.
Yeah. So the Haitians that were involved in this, these were free. Most of the sources that I did find all said that these were not slaves, Haitians. These were free men who volunteered for the army, and their units just happened to be the ones that were put into this guy's squadron. The numbers of how many there were different from source to source, but it sounds like there was somewhere between maybe 500 to 600 of these Haitians.
That doesn't sound like a lot.
It's not that much, but here's another misconception about the American Revolution. This was not the days of big battles. Like you and I, when we think of battles, we tend to think tens of thousands of soldiers, maybe hundreds of thousands of soldiers in battle. The American Revolution, the biggest battle that I recall reading about was 20,000 soldiers at best, both sides together fighting it out.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
The battles in the American Revolution were very small by comparison to what we tend to think about.
Okay, so adding 600 troops to whatever Washington already had is
600
good.
troops is a large army by the standards of that time.
Wow.
Yeah. And I want to be clear, it wasn't just Haitians either. This guy had, or at least one of the sources that I combed through, claimed that there were also Dutch mercenary, or not mercenaries, but Dutch men that were living in the colonies that had joined up with the French army.
Okay.
And even at least 2 Irish units were actually part of this as well. Lots of Irish were leaving Ireland or fleeing from Ireland during this time. And they'll settle in France or Spain or other parts of the world.
Wait. So these Irishmen and Dutchmen are with this French unit because they came with the French from Haiti?
They are independent units. So you have your Irish unit, or you had 2 Irish units.
Okay.
You had your Dutch unit. You also had your Haitian unit. And there were a couple of other units from the colonies as well that were probably also made up of mixed, if not native men as well.
Oh, okay.
So it was a very diverse force. So yes, this squadron, they received their orders, link up with the Americans to retake the city of Savannah. So the French admiral and his squadron arrive, and his original idea is, all right, well, this is going to be easy. We're going to bombard the city from the coast.
Okay.
Now, the British are outnumbered here. The Americans and the French together, they have more men than the British do in Savannah at this time.
And they have French boats. Does that help?
The French have a navy, yes, but the British have a small navy, too, at this point. Now, the French ships that are deployed to this are not ship of the lines, the big, heavy monstrosity things that you want to see, but they're decent enough for the needs, kind of like the armies being smaller. The ships were smaller, but still decent enough for what was needed.
They weren't just rowboats.
Yes, these weren't rowboats. These were actual capable fighting ships.
Okay.
So the British realize that, yeah, okay, they're not going to win this on the Navy. The navies that they have do skirmish on. So Savannah, I didn't know about this until I was looking at maps. Savannah is apparently upriver a good chunk of the way.
Oh.
So there was fighting on the river, not out in the ocean, but on the river.
Yeah.
And the French ships were definitely outmatching the British ships. So the British came up with a very commonly used strategy. They ended up scuttling several of their own ships.
Idea what that means.
Scuttling means destroying, burning, and
I thought
causing them to sink.
Scuttle was the bird from Little Mermaid.
That's scuttles.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So you oftentimes, especially in river warfare, this will be done. So that creates a wreck, a barricade that the other ship, the enemy ships, can't go through. So now the French ships cannot travel far enough upriver to do what the admiral wanted to do. Mm-hmm. I do believe they were still in range to at least bombard this. Oh, no, I'm getting ahead of myself. Sorry. So what the French do is, so he parks his ships, they unload the cannons off of the ships, and then they do the rest of the campaign through land, and they use the ship's cannons to bombard the Savannah. Now, to be fair, here's one of those things where, okay, this is kind of an ugly thing about the story that we don't talk about.
There's always ugly things. It's war.
So there was the city of Savannah, and then there was the fort where the defenses where the British were having.
Okay.
Most of the artillery bombardment hit the city.
That's where the civilians are.
Not where the soldiers were. Yeah, so that was not very good.
But was it still American civilians in the city?
Most of them were probably loyalists, but yeah, there were probably still some revolutionaries in the city.
That's not good.
So yes, there's that. And then to make things more difficult for the infantry part is that a lot of this territory is swampland. So marching through it is not going to be the easiest, to say nothing of coordinating an attack. So the American commander, or the overall American commander, is a guy by the name of Lincoln. I looked it up. No relation.
No relation.
No relation. Very sure. No relation whatsoever.
Okay.
So they come up with a plan. They're going to attack they're going to target one specific point of the British fortifications because their intelligence says that that's where the weakest, the most incompetent, inexperienced portion of the British army is.
Got it.
So that's the perfect place to break through.
Yeah.
But
intelligence was bad?
No, the intelligence was very good, but the British captured some deserters. And the deserters spilled the beans. So the British knew the attack was coming. It was going to be a night attack. They knew, so the British knew where they were going to come from. Yeah. They knew where they were going to hit. So when the French and the Americans go up to where they're going to attack, they find, they're not fighting untrained British militia. They're fighting well-trained,
they're prepared.
They are fighting British militia, but they're also fighting well-trained British regulars.
Oh.
So yeah, the Americans and the French, they get cut to pieces. Now I want to be clear. According to most of the records that I found, the Haitians did not take part in this.
Oh.
I'm going to get to their part of the story.
Oh, okay.
So they didn't take part of this part of the battle.
All right.
All right, so they weren't part of the main attack group. All right.
Got it. Americans attack, though.
So the Americans and the French attack. The Americans and the French get repulsed. It's very bad, and they eventually start retreating. Now, it's at this point that the Haitians come in. Supposedly, the Haitians are the ones that are deployed to provide a rear guard action, basically a fighting measure to make sure that the others are able to retreat without getting blown to bits.
Oh, give them cover.
So yeah, that is what the Haitians do. So they stand their ground so that the rest of the French and the Americans can escape. And the Haitians, according to the story at least, the Haitians take more casualties than any of the other units when this part of the battle is going on. So yes, the battle is a failure. I believe I mentioned this when you first brought this up. Yeah, we lost the Battle of Savannah.
Okay.
We do not recover the city until after the war is over.
Was there any benefit? Like, we might have lost the battle, but at least it helped us in some small way, or no?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I would dare say we probably lost even more than just the manpower. So there was a colonel. He was in charge of the American cavalry. His name kept coming up. He was from Poland originally. I don't recognize his name. I kept getting the impression that I should, and then I wasn't. Since I was concentrating mostly on the Haitians, I didn't go looking after him to find out more of his story. But most of the accounts seem to say that, okay, his loss was a significant loss, at least for the revolution in the southern parts of the colonies. Yeah. But other than that, no, it was just a botched battle.
Ooh, well, that's not...
Or a botched operation, and we were
Yeah.
never able to recover the city of Savannah.
That's not a great ending to that story.
No, not the great ending, but if it is true, then yes, we can admire the Haitians who did indeed help.
Yeah.
They were in the battle, and they did a heroic. To my mind, anybody that provides a rear guard action is an awesome unit. It means that you've lost. A rear guard action means you've lost. But these guys are still volunteering to keep fighting so that others can get away.
Ooh, yeah, that's heroic for sure.
Yeah, I think so. So yeah, if it's true, then that's a cool story. Okay, but there is one other detail that I want to throw in, and this is one of the areas where I remain very skeptical about.
Oh.
So supposedly, it is the veterans of this unit, this Haitian unit, that go back to Haiti and, amongst other people, are the ones that inspire the idea of revolution in Haiti. Because Haiti's revolution follows only a couple of years after the American Revolution. And supposedly they got that idea of revolution and they got the military experience from their engagement during the American Revolution.
That's a great story.
Now, that is a great story. And it is entirely possible that all is true. The thing that I remain highly critical of is this. There's one guy in particular, and again, if you'd asked me 2 or 3 days ago, I remember his name.
I'm so sorry, we were busy.
I told you I wanted to do this 2 or 3 days ago because I remembered his name.
There was something to everything every evening this week.
So you could look him up. Girl, I can't tell you to look him up because I don't know what his name is. So he is a famous person in Haiti. Supposedly, he is part of this unit. He was about 10 years old at the time, so he was a drummer boy. And supposedly he gets wounded in this action as well. But he is going to go on to be one of Haiti's great heroes. So first off, I was skeptical that he was there since I couldn't find accounts about anything else. Nothing else that I was finding indicated that anybody but him said or recognized that he was there. So nobody else, granted nobody else was cited on any matter, but nobody else cited that, okay, he was actually there at the time.
Right.
So doesn't mean he wasn't there, but
could be in that journal.
But he ends up becoming one of Haiti's heroes during the Haitian Revolution. Even ends up becoming, I don't remember what his title was, so I'm going to call him president for the moment.
Okay.
After the Haitian Revolution, the Haiti is actually split up into 2 parts, a northern part and a southern part. And he actually falls, this guy, I wish I could remember his name, he actually falls into that all too common problem of the heroes becoming the villains or becoming the very things you were fighting against. Because not long after he becomes in charge of northern Haiti, he becomes a dictator. Not just a dictator, but very oppressive of the people, making them work in slave-like conditions to provide resources for the fledgling nation to be sold for profit.
He's the Haitian Napoleon.
Well, you could say the Haitian Napoleon, the Haitian Mao, the Haitian Cromwell.
Oh my gosh.
The history is replete with many, many revolutions where the heroes of the revolution ended up becoming the very thing that the people were fighting against. I've said this over and over again. The United States got lucky. Washington was supposedly offered this possibility, but turned it down.
Gosh, that was lucky. Dang.
So if that part of the story is true, then that's an unfortunate repetition of history. That, okay, this guy who came over and became an American hero, or sorry, a Haitian hero, eventually also became a Haitian villain. But but some of the sources that I was reading suggested that despite that, he's still revered for his heroism in the revolution in Haiti.
So it didn't completely tarnish.
So yeah, it would seem that they're still choosing at least to remember him more for his good, for his bad. Now, is that because I know next to nothing about Haitian culture and political life or anything like that? Is that because they don't teach that he also became the villain? Or they just know they're choosing to remember him for the good things he did rather than the bad?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I'm cool with forgetting about the bad things he did and remembering the good. If it's that, okay, the Haitian people aren't being taught about him, so
if it's erasure, then that's not great.
Then I'm disappointed.
Yeah. So then there was a statue built in Savannah honoring these men.
There was a statue. I believe it was built in the early to late 90s, or early to late 90s. It was built, I believe, sometime in the 90s. That's when it was erected.
Okay, you have to specify the century. Like, was this in my lifetime?
The 1990s.
1990s, so it was recent.
I would believe it was in the 1990s.
Oh, wow.
I might be remembering wrong, but I believe it was.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Like I said, it's a cool story. I enjoyed learning about it.
Yeah. So, Do you feel bad now for criticizing that history teacher for thinking that Haitians were involved in the American Revolution? Because she was right.
No, she wasn't. Because she did not say to my fellow student that Haitians served in the American Revolution. What she said to my fellow student was that Haitians are Haitians.
Yeah. And just a note for listeners, in case anyone has gotten this far and still has no clue what we're talking about.
Well, I want to interrupt you on one thing. I could be wrong, but I would dare to say that both the people that are from modern day Hesse and the people from modern day Haiti would be just as pleased about what my teacher said to that student as a Ukrainian would be to being told that they're Russians.
That puts it in some perspective. Yeah, I've heard that that's not a thing you should do.
No, I remember I was guilty of that myself. I hadn't studied in depth Ukrainian's history at the time.
Yeah.
So the first time it was brought to my attention was when I was teaching high school, and I don't remember how the conversation came up, but this was probably during the first invasion, because this would have been back in 2016 or so. So this was around about the time that Vladimir Putin had done. I think at that point, that was the second time that he had invaded the Ukraine.
Sure.
I might be getting it was after the 50s, so yeah, I don't know.
Exactly.
So, but anyway, the conversation came up amongst my students, and I had at least one student in that class who was Ukrainian. And she was the one that told not just me, but like the whole class that, no, there's a difference. Ukrainians are not Russians.
Yeah, and they don't like
I enjoyed that perspective.
That they are. Yeah, that's important to know. Anyway, so I was just going to say, if anyone's like super confused, you have to listen to episode 40. I believe it's episode 40.
You're giving me a hard time about not knowing the episodes. You don't even know the episodes. Give me the episodes by their theme, and I know which one you're talking about. Give me them by number.
I think the title...
No idea what order we did these in.
I think the title of the episode is Haitians and the Battle of Trenton. That's what it's titled. Haitians and the Battle of Trenton. So go listen to that and then come back and listen to this one again.
Somewhere there are hundreds of people rolling over in their graves. Give me strength.
It's a great title. I'm so proud of that title.
Yeah, I bet you are.
Excellent. All right, is that all you have to share about Haiti with us?
There's more that one could say about Haiti, but that's necessarily.
That concludes your research.
So on this particular incident, yes. So I do want to point out, because I think this is one of those cool things. Haiti is yet another country that dabbles in revolution, asks the United States for help, and the U.S. says no.
Don't say it.
In fact, the U.S. actually supported the French during Haiti's revolution. Because
France supported us.
No, it had nothing to do with that. Because the Haitian Revolution was a slave rebellion. And the United States did not want that to carry over, word about that, to get back to the Americas.
Because that's contagious.
So it's actually because of that the United States and Haiti, or rather I should say that the United States basically cuts off Haiti, it throws it into the back burner, ignores Haiti for the better part of the next 2 centuries.
Wow.
Because of that, all based on that idea that, okay, we can't support them because we don't want this idea of slave rebellion getting out in the colonies.
Wow.
Yep.
Well, that's kind of sad.
And then, and even made more sad when I remind you, because I think I mentioned this last time too, that we owe Haiti, I think, more from their successful revolution, and from when they successfully beat off Napoleon when he tried to retake the island. Because if it weren't for that, Napoleon would have never sold us Louisiana Purchase. Yes. So when you take that into account, in my opinion at least, we owe Haiti pretty big time for that, especially when we did not support them in getting that done.
But we gave him a statue.
I dare say that the United States has benefited more from Haiti's independence than Haiti has benefited from its own independence.
If that's true, that's very sad. But how do you measure something like that?
You can't really, unless you have a time machine or a means that will allow you to view alternate history to see what would the ramifications have been.
I would love that so much. Like, if we had not gotten the Louisiana Purchase, if Napoleon had a French foothold in America, like, everything would be different. Could we be fighting the French back and forth like the English do in Europe?
Well, theoretically, I'm going to shoot that down and say no.
Okay.
Among the reasons why Napoleon decided to sell us the Louisiana or the whole of the territory, was because it's more than likely that some of his people pointed out to him, if he wasn't already smart enough to realize it himself, that we got nothing in that area. If they wanted it, we have nothing to stop them.
The French should have been out sooner or later.
So even if Napoleon did manage to retake Santo Domingo and manage
Hispaniola.
The French called it Saint Dominic or
that's Santo Domingo.
It's Santo Domingo, yeah.
The island today is called Hispaniola. Go ahead.
Okay. So even if Napoleon had managed to retake that and decided that he was going to go along with his plans for, I'm going to have a new empire in the Americas, it's more than likely he still would have been knocked out of power in Europe and thus never would have gotten the ball rolling, and then the Americans would have still just wandered on it.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's less exciting.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you so much for that riveting knowledge.
Thank you for the opportunity to look up something that I was not familiar with.
Anytime. I love stumping you.
You just have such a hard time finding stuff that I don't know about.
Well, see, I would have to know about it in order to ask you and stump you about it.
I wanted to ask you, when we did the first half of this, did you even expect me to know what the Battle of Savannah was?
I truly hadn't put a single second of thought into the Battle of Savannah. I literally saw these articles. I don't even remember how I found them, but I literally saw these articles with titles, Haiti, American Revolution, and that's all I looked at. So I don't know. All right. I was very excited to stump you, though. And I love giving you homework. So it worked out for everybody.
It was fun. I enjoyed it.
All right. Thank you for listening. If you liked what you heard, then please subscribe, tell your friends, and leave us a 5-star review.
If you'd like to hear a future episode with more information about today's topic, then I'm going to have to say you are out of luck, my friend. Because like I said, the only other thing that I could do would be if I got a copy of that guy's journals and read them to get kind of an indication of, the realism of this thing. So I should clarify on that.
Okay.
I believe the journal is real.
Yeah.
I just don't know what its contents are.
Yeah.
So, and unless one of you wants to get that for me, please don't, because as cool as that would be, I don't want a book that I won't be able to read.
If someone can find us an English translation, they're welcome to send it to us on Gmail, Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok at Married to History Pod.
Yeah, that.
That would be awesome. Also, please contact us if you have a silly question idea or if there's something from history that you would love to learn about.
Just be sure to specify if it's a silly or a serious one, because we want to treat serious ones as we did this, and not as me just feeling like I'm sitting here having my intelligence insulted by my lovely, beautiful wife.
Oh, you're so sweet. Talk to you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Testing.
Testing my patience, amongst other things.
Okay, I think we are working. I can hear us.
Are you sure?
Like
on a scale of 1 to 10, how sure?
Pretty sure.
Is pretty a 1 or a 10 or something in between?
I don't know.
It's not very helpful. I thought you were the brains of the operation. If you don't know, then aren't we in trouble?
We're in bad shape.
Want to talk about the history of shapes?
Okay, put your computer away.
Give me 36 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 30 more seconds.
Mm-hmm.